Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for Week 41. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here, and welcome back to this week's news report, where once again it is time to have a look back on what has happened in the past week. Obviously, there is something moving on some of the platforms that we currently have. We're going to go through that today. Also, the Forex market here was a bit strange on the past week. So some of the items was actually extremely dull. We had another one that was actually at a new time high. We're going to cover all of this in this particular video here as usual. And obviously, we now also have the second part of the user test in here for the Bell Trading EA. So this is the EA from Expert Forex. It's now gone into a second phase of testing. We actually have it on live. We're also still doing some back testing, still trying to optimize it. We're going to show you just what happened in the few days that we tested it here last week and some of the good results in here. Obviously, we're also going to have a look at Expert Forex to see what Alex has been up to, and he has been basically working with the RSI Liberator on this particular one for also a trader that seems to have gotten this particular one to work. This is the same EA that we also run a lot of different currency pairs on, up to 22. So definitely we know this one is working extremely well. And there's also a bit of news on the Trillant platform itself. Last week, we had a longer edition here regarding the Trillant platform, what is actually happening. Here, there is a few updates that you need to know about, so we're going to cover it in this week's news report. And if you haven't seen last week's one and you are interested in Trillant, I definitely suggest you go back and have a look at that one first. But we're going to go through everything here, and we're going to start off on the Yieldnodes platform today. So we're going to start off on the Yieldnodes platform here. Nothing much has changed. There's nothing new regarding the Yieldnodes NFT has been claimed or anything else like this. The only part that we continue to refer back to when we go to this particular website again here is the Coin reserves. When you are actually clicking on that particular one, you can still see the coins that Yieldnodes is currently holding and the total amount of coins that are in here. So last one, this was updated on the 14th of October, and then it'll show you exactly the different types of coins that you have in here. If you have seen any of our news reports before, you will see that PNY is one of the ones that we normally highlight and also stake, and the same thing down here on the SAP part. You will see the masternodes, how many masternodes is running. These are normally full masternodes, and you can also see the staking balance over here, and then keep an eye on it to see if it's actually going up or down. It should, obviously, when you are staking and when you are running the masternodes, it should only go one way, that is up. Question is by how much. Now, if we go and have a look at the SAP coin and the price for that particular one, it's pretty much flat. For this particular week here, we left it at about 7 zeros and a 2, and that's also where it ended up at the end of the week. Started off on the 7th, and here on the 13th, then things were still very much dull, only slight movement in here. And if we go have a look also for the SAP coin, so this was actually what we had last week, so this is not this week's one. You'll see that the last couple of weeks here, so things have been spread out quite well. Last time actually we got any staking in from the SAP wallet here again was on the 3rd of October. So that was last week, nothing for this particular week here, which is a big fat 0, basically at the end of the week. And you'll see October is obviously the lowest one so far. We are well into October now, so it would be very, very nice to get a few extra stakes in here to get the overall coins up. If we have a look at PNY, that is slightly better. So on the 10th of October, we actually got 133 in here. So also that particular one is very low as we are approaching the middle of the month. And that means that we only actually managed 0.6% or 133 PNY at the end of the day. So not very impressive for this particular week, extremely slow. Bitcoin versus USDT also here actually ended up with a whole week of trading and then pretty much in the same place as we started. So last week we ended up at 63,500. Then price went all the way down to 59 just to jump up again. And currently at the time we're shooting this particular video here, it is trading at around 64,000. So it has recovered what it lost prior in the week. Now, I told you also about the Trillant platform, and last week we had a major part regarding the Zoom call with CEO Eric Ellie that is actually stepping down. And one of the items that was in here is actually a transition of the platform itself. And this particular week here, from the news from the Trillant platform, again here tells us that there is some deadline extension, and that deadline extension, in order to basically figure out if you want to continue with the new system or not, has now been extended until October 30th. As we mentioned in last week's news report already, we have decided to go in and pay the $49 fee in here to figure out if anything's going to happen, anything's going to go forward in the future. So, because if you don't want to, we will be glad to still go and have a look, see exactly what's happening, and try to report back to the entire community what is actually happening. But is, of course, entirely up to you what you want to do. So the coinstore.com in here with the tree coin itself, it got a bit of a knock from last week after that particular video came out. So we ended up at point and then 40196, and it continues to basically go down. At the moment it's at then 0.40178, and as you can see, it has been trading. First it was slightly positive, after that it has lost a bit of the excitement, and then just in the past day or so things have come slightly up again, which is obviously a good sign. But again, there's extremely long way to seeing anything positive for the tree coin. Also, this particular coin will basically be phased out at the end of the month, and there will be a new coin in here instead, so a full transition. Obviously, we don't know all the details yet, so please stay tuned on this particular news report, and I will try and explain it to you as it's being released. In the meantime, let's go to the Trade Explorer, because it was extremely good week for the Trade Explorer itself. The 10 pair one did $2,086 in here, or 20.9%. So extremely good profit overall. If we have a look at the graph itself, you'll see that this particular one, it actually had a drawdown and also lost a bit of money. That's the only time. And then you see these small little spikes on the graph itself here also. This is still the IT account that didn't record it very well for basically the whole month of August. And now we had a huge spike up here again. So the overall balance is 41,388 with a good equity also of 41,366. Only profit and loss at -21. So that is what we would like to see. Total return 270%. And then trades per day, we are still around 12. With a history now of 518 days on the 10 pair one. Now, I told you here, there has been a bit of a drawdown, so this is the history. And again, it's not 100% accurate, unfortunately, because it comes from FX Blue. This is the best I can do, though, under the circumstances. You'll see that in the beginning, when we set it up, we had some spikes. They were within reason, apart from this particular one here, went all the way to almost 6,000. Since then, it has been very controllable, very, very low. And also, again, here we had the spike. This one looks like it didn't even make 4,000, but we know it went to at least 5.5, most probably a bit more. Looking at the lot size itself that was actually used to recover this particular one, it goes up by quite a bit every single time. So very aggressive strategy in there. Both the grid size is actually narrowing down, and then at the same time the lot size goes up, and that's also why it can recover extremely quickly. But it also puts a heavy load on the account itself. And what it looks like here at the end of the day is, again, weekly returns, monthly returns is a bit low compared to where they should be, and this is because we are never dialing up the lot size, even though the account has now actually quadrupled, so 4 times from 10 to 40, or that means 3 times, I guess, with $30,000 in here. History 318 days, as we said. Look at this spike in here, and then we have a look at the net profit overall, and this is the highest we had for one single week, 2,086. Prior to that, it was actually early August where we had a bit of a fluctuation in the Forex market, definitely a little storm, 1,376. So this is another week out of the blue. cashing in big time. So good for all the ones that are actually in on it on the copy link service here also. You'll find a lot more details about that. Now the Wave Liberator for week 41 also here was quite dull, as I mentioned here before. New Zealand CAD is topping out at $65 or 6.5%. Aussie CAD $57 or 5.7%. Great British Pound, Swiss francs $51 or 5.1%. New Zealand CAD $48 or 4.8%, and then Great British Pounds, Japanese, $45, 4.5%. And in a total, if you would have traded those top 5 in the last week, you would have made $267, or 5.3%. So again, obviously still very good, but very, very low compared to where we used to be. So with the slow week, we can still see that the portfolio balance is going up. We have basically 22 accounts of 10,000 each. That has now reached 251,749. Floating profit and loss is well under control with minus 5,824. Again, this is set up to basically be able to trade on $1,000 accounts. Total return 16.4, monthly returns 1.2, weekly returns 0.3%. Trade wins are good, 67. And then about 14 trades per day on average with a history of 422 days. And in here, you can again go and have a closer look at the individual currency pairs that we have. And you can have a look at the top 5 to see these are some of the ones you now want to trade from the copy link service or not. And otherwise, you can go and have a closer look at the entire portfolio here. So again, the weekly and monthly returns is actually set up on $10,000 accounts. So that means that if you want to run all of these instead on $1,000, you should be able to get on average of 3% return per week or 12% on a monthly basis. Now, having a look at this week's results, 620 for the entire portfolio. So we are very much down compared to what we have previously. We can't really rely too much on the August results in here because of the IG demo account issues we had. So we have to go all the way back here to July, where we are surpassing the numbers, but compared to recent weeks, we are still very much low. Now, if we have a look also at the RSI Liberator, it's very similar in here. Aussie Japanese is on the number 1 for the top 5 with $62 or 6.2%. Great British Pounds, Swiss francs, $57 or 5.7%. Great British Pounds CAD, $49 or 4.9%. And US CAD, $43, 4.3%. With the lower top 5 here with the Aussie CAD, $39, 3.9%. And in total for the top 5 in here for the week, $251 or 5%. Still very good, but also on this particular side here, it's a bit on the low side. So if we have a look at the entire portfolio, also here we have 22 accounts of $10,000. Very, very similar. As you can see here, we have a good positive balance and we have a negative profit and loss with about 5,086 at the time. Again, the flat curve here is for the month of August, so please ignore that one. You can see it was pretty smooth before then. And then if we have a look at the total returns, 4.5%. Monthly returns is about 1%. Again, we lost a bit of all the data in here where the RSI did quite well. Weekly returns 0.2% and with a trade wins of just below 66. Not too bad. And trades per day is around 20-21 with a history of 191 days. And we also have a bit of a news because yes, you can obviously go and have a look at all the RSI. But now some of them have actually made it to the copy link service in here. And there's about 5. So the Aussie US dollars, the Euro, Great British Pounds, Great British Pounds, USD, USD CAD, and USD Japanese. More will actually come, but this is the amount that, we also have the Aussie CAD in here that has been added to it. And Expert Forex will hopefully add an additional number for us next month. We'll have a closer look at that again and see if we can push some of these ones here forward. Now, if we have a look at the entire week, then we can see also here it was very dull, 438 for the portfolio of the 22 EAs. Definitely very low. And if we have a look at prior weeks in here, you can see 769, 859, 651. So yes, it has been an extremely slow week for these particular EAs. Now you can find a lot more details and also some of the information as I showed you here before on the EAs for both the Wave Liberator and the RSI Liberator in here. Go and have a look at the individual currency pairs to see how well they do. But we also need to have a look at our PAMM account in here for the Wave Liberator. And if we have a closer look at that, we can see that that is still going quite well. You can see there's a bit of a notch down in here. This is actually now the third time that we have sort of reasonable large sums that has been taken out. So these are the investors that are trying to secure their investment by dragging out a bit of the money in there, so to lower the risk overall, which is obviously a very clever thing to do, but also a bit frustrating for us sometimes, as we are trying constantly to match the lot sizing and the account sizing in here, and trying to optimize the trading as much as absolutely possible. That can be difficult when we have bigger changes like what we also had here back in early April. And again, what we had here in end of July, beginning of August, where big sums were basically taken out. So, but you can see the profit is still going up and up. So that is the positive part of it. And that's also why you actually for this particular week in here have a minus. So it's minus 1,449. This is not because we actually had some losses. This again is because the withdrawals that we have in here. So if we go and have a look at that, you'll actually notice that the withdrawal overall for that particular week here was $17,881.01. And as people are taking some of this out, they're also taking the profit away. So the FX Blue cannot really describe this in the right manner. And that's actually the reason why all of a sudden you end up with a minus instead. And it becomes pretty impossible to figure out exactly what was the profit in here. We do expect this to be in the area of around $2,500–3,000 in the plus section, sort of based on what we have seen in prior weeks. But because there's been several withdrawals, it is extremely difficult to get the calculation right, because it also depends on when the initial investors are coming in. So at different times, it also means that they have accumulated different types of profits. And obviously that the profits is the most important thing at the end of the day. So if we have a look also at the portfolio over here for Expert Forex, we can see that that has dropped overall because a lot of the money has been taken out. So people are making sure that they are taking some of the gains in here. So that was 574. We actually have a good part of that with 263 and age of 222 days in here. The gains overall for the accounts 145. We actually passed 80,000 quite a few times now, and then the profit has been taken out. So if you most probably go in and recalculated that without the withdrawals, we would have been well beyond 100,000 by now. But still 80,000 overall is more than half of what is actually been gained so far. Also, the average gains is 25.3%. So even though we have all the withdrawals, our gains is all the way up to 30%. Drawdowns in here at the moment, the drawdown just went up last week. It was at a very healthy about 25% before, and that has since changed a bit, so which is obviously good. And then projected annual growth is still climbing up, even though, as we said, FX Blue is very much affected for the withdrawal process that you have in here. And just to have a look and see what it looked like last week, you can see the change of 20,000, and still the gains, we have almost recovered everything of the profits anyway. Gains also here was 28.5 last week. It's gone up still to 30%. So we are doing extremely well and continue to do better and better. So hopefully that trend will also continue. Now we also have obviously on our website other items that you can go and have a look at, and the Lucky Trader is one of them. So for the Lucky Trader week 41, the top 5 EAs, where we only have 4 at the moment, is the New Zealand USD with $209 or 2.1%. We have the Euro Great British Pounds at $198 or 2.0%. Euro USD only down to $40 or 0.4%. And then Euro Swiss francs, $26 or 0.3%. Overall, those top 4 in here made $473 or 1.2%. So definitely not enough at the moment. So we'll have to see how we can actually improve that particular part. Now the portfolio overall here is past 50,000. We have a floating profit and loss at the moment of minus 8,493. So obviously that needs to come down. And if we have a closer look at it, the monthly returns is at 5.1. So on the low side, weekly returns 1.2. And then trades per day around 16 with a history of 118 days so far. And having a closer look at the individual weeks, we made 473 as you saw here before, which is very low compared to the prior weeks in here. So that also for the lucky trader goes into that we had a very slow trading week at the end of the day. But there's obviously news ahead, and we're talking about the user testing phase that has started with the bell trading robot now from Expert Forex. So the first part was a lot of back testing that we had a look at to see exactly how that works, how it operates. And the second part is now actually live testing. So you'll see actually a bit of a flat curve in here where we're setting this particular EA up. This is for EuroCats. So we were having the account set up without trading, simply back testing different currency pairs at the same time. When we then entered the new phase, we started, and we only have now actually 3 days. So this is Thursday, this is Friday. The flat curve is now the weekend, and then here already Monday, things are looking up again. So it has jumped quite a bit. This was originally a $10,000 account. It's up at 11,211 already with a floating profit on loss. That is actually in plus. So extremely good start. Total return 12.2%. And again, these are only for about 2.5 trading days so far. Calculated monthly returns is 24.4%. And again, it also calculates these particular days in here. So it will be a lot higher later on, but we'll have to see exactly how we're going to do it. Weekly returns 5.3, trade wins 66%. So that is good and steady. And then trades per day so far is obviously early days with 6 per day and a history of 15 days. But as we said, only traded for the past 2.5 to 3 days in here. And then we'll see how it goes from there. Now Alex has made also a video for the bell trader, and again here this is obviously the extreme setup where you take $1,000 and he gets it all the way up to 809,000. So, and I believe this was done on a test for about 1 year. You can go and have a closer look at that particular video in here. We'll make sure that the link is in the video description below. The second one he actually made also was one of the traders actually traded some gold, and again showing here that gold went up about 11.3%, but the trader overall actually managed 204% on the trading itself. So that even though you have small minute changes, you can make big profits sometimes. And that's what we had for you in this week's news report. As you can see, things have been a bit slow in the past week. We actually heard also from a few other people in the Expert Forex Premium Forum in here saying, okay, nothing much happened this week. And certainly that was the case for some of the EAs. And then you'll see the Trade Explorer basically first having, as usual, the huge drawdown, and then afterwards a huge cash in at the end of the day. It can be a bit of a scary EA, and that is why we try to cover all of these EAs, both when it goes positive and when it goes negative. So hopefully, please give us a thumbs up to make sure that we continue that particular news reporting on all the EAs we have, so that you don't have to go through all the hardship. Also, you can see exactly what is working, what is not. And then we will provide you with new updated data for next week. So until then, bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way, you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.